following is a CUNY TV special presentation.
I want to turn quickly to your attention. I think everybody got this when they walked in, and that is the tech report that was just released today and featured in the New York Times, the New York City tech ecosystem. The study was conducted by HR&A Advisors and was commissioned by Abney, Citi, Google, and New York Tech Meetup. And it illustrates the extent to which New York's tech sector is growing, and that increasingly tech jobs are embedded in the traditional sectors that also thrive in New York. There are a few top-line conclusions I just want to mention. New York tech ecosystem generates more than 500,000 jobs, $500 billion in annual compensation, and nearly $125 billion in annual output, and $5.6 billion in tax revenues, which I'm sure the Deputy Mayor's happy to hear about. One really truly outstanding finding that we discovered during this report was that 44% of all tech jobs do not require a bachelor's degree. But these workers earn 45% more than the average hourly wages. It's clear that New York tech ecosystem is a major economic driver for our city. I urge all of you to read the report. You can also download it. It's available at nyctecheconomy.com. I also want to thank the sponsors who helped us with this, Ed Schuyler in particular at Citi, William Floyd from Google, Andrew Richer at New York Tech Meetup, as well as the report's author, Kate Whittles. I think they all deserve a nice round of applause. It's now my honor to welcome to Abney for the first time, and I believe her first major speech, our Deputy Mayor for Housing and Economic Development, Alicia Glenn. Deputy Mayor Glenn, we welcome you to Abney and look forward to partnering with you and your team to make sure that New York City continues to move forward. We look forward to hearing you discuss the de Blasio administration's agenda for economic development and 21st century job creations. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome New York City Deputy Mayor Alicia Glenn.
Abney has always been a place for big ideas. And that's certainly what our mayor had in mind when he came here 18 months ago to first talk about his plan to provide pre-K for every child in New York City. And we saw this week how those kinds of big ideas that start in this room can fundamentally change the landscape of this city. Abney sees the big picture, and it has its eye on the city's long-term future and competitiveness. That's very much my mission at City Hall. For openers, and hopefully not to be redundant, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a born and bred New Yorker. I live in the same zip code I was born in, so I really am of this place. I spent my whole career working to make cities a better place to live, and I've been doing it from a lot of different vantage points. Most recently, I spent over 10 years at Goldman Sachs, where I headed the Urban Investment Group. At UIG, our objective was to invest in the businesses and the places where we could get the most impact, to get ahead of the curve, and to do it where it mattered most, and that's in our cities. Exhibit A, the revolution in manufacturing. Long before anybody had ever heard of Manufacturing 2.0, we helped to catalyze one of the most successful manufacturing revivals in the nation. That's the transformation of the Brooklyn Navy Yard. I was just back at the Navy Yard a few weeks ago, and if you haven't been there recently, you need to go. What is going on there is remarkable. You'll see the future of modern manufacturing taking place right in front of your eyes. Now, I also worked on something called the 10,000 Small Businesses Initiative, which we launched at LaGuardia Community College. Again, we're very focusing on how can we use community colleges to help support our small businesses. And today, that program is helping to write small business success stories in major cities from coast to coast. revitalizing neighborhoods by taking a comprehensive approach to development, mixing housing, retail, community facilities, and financing innovative programs like the New York State Healthy Food Fund was also a big part of our portfolio. And in that arena, I drew on the 4 years that I spent working at the city's Department of Housing Preservation and Development, as well as years of being in the public and private sector. To be a true urbanist, to really help cities grow, you need to think horizontally. And I think that that approach is really one of the reasons why Deputy Mayor is called the Deputy Mayor for Housing and Economic Development. We are breaking down those verticals and thinking about what our city needs as a whole, and that is clearly the mission that the mayor gave to me when I came into office. So when the first iteration of Domino was approved in 2010, it promised to generate about 389 permanent jobs. As it stands today, the more dynamic, mixed-use project approved by the City Planning Commission is going to generate an estimated net new 1,100 jobs, the overwhelming majority of them in good-paying sectors, particularly our tech sector. So that's really in large part due to this fundamental shift towards a mixed-use development that will attract small, growing tech firms while still providing much-needed housing in Brooklyn. So let's talk about how we're going to take that approach forward. It really does come down to breaking down those traditional silos in government and making sure that our economic development, workforce development, and land use policies are aligned, and that one really feeds into the other, driving better outcomes for both the public and private sectors. Today, I want to dive a little bit into the workforce piece of that equation and how we plan to leverage that in new ways. And it's really only appropriate to start that workforce discussion on the demand side by focusing on one of the fastest growing sectors and the one we want to have more New Yorkers have a real shot at joining. Of course, I'm speaking about our tech sector. Now, if my kids were here, they'd be falling out of their chairs laughing right now because their mom is a proud user of a vintage flip phone, who thankfully can't figure out how to follow them on Instagram. But just because I cling to my old habits and I try to claim that I'm somehow counter-cool, walking around with my razor, that doesn't mean that I can't appreciate a really good thing when I see it. For one thing, I'm proud to say that as of yesterday, I'm actually finally on Twitter, if you can believe it. I'm at DM Alicia Glenn. I mean, that is just hilarious for anybody who's ever met me. But I have a handle. And the report released today by HRNA with the support of ABNY, Citi, Google, and New York Tech Meetup shows just how much is riding on the success of the tech sector. Here's what it shows. Nearly 300,000 jobs are directly linked to our growing tech sector. And that's nearly as many people as in our retail sector, just for comparison. And it's becoming that ubiquitous. The tech revolution reaches into every industry in our city, into the finance sector, into advertising, media, fashion and design, retail, manufacturing. Tech is utterly transforming them all and at an ever faster pace. So people talk about Silicon Alley, but let's get real. It ain't no alley anymore, right? Calling it a tech ecosystem, as today's report does, is really much more accurate. It is an ecosystem. There isn't a corner in this city that this industry doesn't touch. What's also critical about the tech ecosystem is that it's one that reaches all rungs of the economic ladder, from workers with just a high school diploma to those with advanced degrees. And most importantly, it can be a way up the economic ladder. Jobs in the New York City tech ecosystem that do not require a bachelor's degree pay 45% more than jobs with the same educational requirements in other industries. Tech ecosystem jobs that don't require a bachelor's degree pay almost $28 an hour. That's pretty extraordinary when you look at what the average wage is in New York City, particularly in those sectors like retail where we're seeing huge amount of growth. So for an administration that is fundamentally committed to lifting up working people, to helping them find their place in the middle class, this is great, great news, and we need to do more to grow the sector. So while part of our strategy is about raising the floor in those traditionally low-wage sectors and increasing economic security with provisions like paid sick leave, we are equally committed to building better paths for New Yorkers to secure good-paying jobs. We are 100% invested in the Applied Sciences Initiative launched by the previous administration, and we are committed to making it a reality and making it work. It's going to have a huge and dynamic impact on our economy, and in the years to come, it will spin off tech startups and create tens of thousands of new jobs in our city. The city is currently investing $500 million a year in adult education and workforce development. That is a massive public investment. And for all of the good work that people in various social service organizations are doing and job training programs and apprenticeship programs, I don't think there's an employer in this room who honestly thinks that as a city, we are training the workforce they are going to need 5 or 10 years from now. There's not enough real-time skills building that's going on. So we need nothing less than a thorough reinvention of workforce development in this city. And that's what we're starting today. We are going to take a fundamentally different approach, and we are calling that initiative Jobs for New Yorkers. It's going to help facilitate more nimble and responsive workforce training and forge real pipelines to our fastest growing, good-paying employers. To lead our efforts, today I'm announcing that Katie Gallsteig, who will be joining my team to lead what used to be called the Mayor's Office of Human Capital Development. We're renaming it what it really is. It's the Mayor's Office of Workforce Development, and Katie will be its executive director. I think Katie's hopefully in the room. So what Katie's also going to do is really coordinate across city government, working across agencies, breaking down those silos that prevent us from being real innovators who are harnessing all of our resources. To drive change, to really move mountains instead of just moving needles, we are bringing the whole team to the table. People from the Office of Media and Entertainment, from the Department of Education, from the Mayor's Office of Operations. We need everybody to join us in this effort, and we're going to break down some of those bureaucratic barriers that have prevented us from moving forward. Katie's office will also staff the Jobs for New Yorkers task force that we'll be launching next week. It will be made up of some of the city's leading employers, including those from the tech sector, as well as providers, philanthropists, educational institutions. Our goal is simple. We don't want you to go to Stanford or overseas when you're looking for talent. We're going to give you the people you need right here in New York City. Right now, our workforce system rewards job placements, but many of those result in low-wage paying jobs. We want to build a system that rewards skill building and ongoing advancement into full-time, higher-wage jobs in those sectors that are actually growing. And we're going to merge those initiatives with our broader economic development agenda. And combining economic development and workforce development means that when you do business with the City of New York, you're helping us bring real-time information on hiring so that we can integrate that into our system to respond and train the people and prepare New Yorkers to be your next employees. We know how to do this because we've actually done it, and we've done it at a small scale. A great example of that kind of dynamic investment is happening right now at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, where not only do we provide the space for companies to grow, we help our tenants find qualified workers and train those people to be those qualified workers. So for example, last summer, the city connected more than 50 applicants participating in a very innovative workforce development program that's actually located at the Yard with FSC Modular, a fast-growing modular construction company, desperately in need of skilled workers to meet the demands of their client. More than 20 of those individuals received on-the-job training and are now working, making full-time, good wages. That is the kind of thing we need to do more of. We need to replicate and expand models like that across the city and across sectors to leverage all of our resources more effectively and drive better outcomes, helping companies become even better, even profitable, while giving more New Yorkers a pathway to the middle class. That's the virtuous cycle. Better workers, better companies, more profitable companies. Ultimately, in my mind, that's the big public-private partnership. That's an economy that works for all of us, and that's really our vision for the people of this city. Now, it's going to be a major undertaking, but as I said earlier, Abney has always been a place to come and launch bold ideas that break the mold. Now, I happen to work for someone who came before this very room 18 months ago to talk about something that seemed equally as improbable at the time. So what follows is a reminder of the power of how an idea can actually become reality and how an idea whose time has come to really embrace. Is there anyone here who wanted to add anything to these thoughts?
Well done. I heard there was a really hip gathering where people don't wear ties. So, you know, those of us, Alicia, who are in the new economy, we don't really believe in that formality. I want to thank Bill Rudin for having liberated me from the tie and for all the leadership he provides of Abney and for this city. Thank you, Bill. I'm just going to spend a few moments with you. I want to talk about the incredible work that Alicia is doing and a couple other things very quickly. But first, a special thank you, a special shout out to someone who's gone above and beyond and helped New York City's population to grow just in the last few days. Jennifer Hensley, Executive Director of Abney, thank you. And my former boss, Mayor Dinkins, is out here, and I want to thank him for all he has done for this city. Thank you, Mayor. And my colleagues in government, council members Dan Garodnick and Mark Weprin, thank you for your leadership. Now, I came here in this very groovy look to praise Alicia Glenn. And thank you, Alicia. And I have to say, you can imagine when you're putting together a whole government for this city, looking for literally the best and the brightest, the folks who can really move a series of changes to make life better for all of us. The job of Deputy Mayor for Housing and Economic Development, absolutely central to the life of this city and the future of this city. I could not be more pleased with what Alicia Glenn is already doing for this city in just 3 months. Let's thank her for her extraordinary efforts. And I think with the work she has done already on the Domino project in Brooklyn, on some of the great additions to the Hudson Yards project in Manhattan, you see already the focus we have on creating affordable housing on an unprecedented scale, the focus we have on creating good jobs, on helping to raise wages and benefits in every way we can so people can actually have a middle-class lifestyle in this city. Alicia set the pace already with extraordinary energy. Imagine being the person who every day walks into City Hall and greets the smiling mayor who says, "How are you doing on the 200,000 units of affordable housing?" That's Alicia's life, but she rises to the challenge all the time. Never see her sweat, I can tell you that much. The team that we've put together with Alicia's leadership, many of whom are here today, extraordinary leaders of the agencies that will create that affordable housing, that will help to build our economy, create those middle-class jobs. Could not be happier with the team we've assembled. They're extraordinary. I want to do a special thank you to someone I worked on long and hard to return to government. I'm so glad he did. Carl Weisbrod, welcome back. I told him it would be fun and easy, and he believed me. very quickly, just picking up where Alicia left off, it was almost exactly a year and a half ago, in a room just like this, that we talked about the need to fix our school system, the need to really create an educational system that could serve all of our children and prepare them for the 21st century economy. 18 months ago, Alicia was absolutely accurate. 18 months ago, it looked like a very, very difficult challenge. It looked to many people like an impossibility. I do believe in the power of a good idea, and I do believe that when you build a societal consensus, anything's possible. And over the last 18 months, the people of this city, they really listened, they really thought about where we needed to go, and it was their voices that ultimately won the day in Albany. And the notion was simple. First of all, we have to reach every child. I talked about this a week ago at Riverside Church. We have to reach every child. And I'm committed to reaching every child in this city. And by the way, they may be in the traditional public schools. That's where most of the kids we educate are. They may be in charter schools. They may be in religious schools. We have to reach all of them. They are our future. They are our destiny. They will build the economy of the future of this city. It needs to work across the board. You know, we've had the sad truism in this city of the broken neighborhood school, the school that so many parents didn't want to send their child to. That has to be a thing of the past. We have to move by that to a different reality where our schools work across the board. And that's why it was so important to begin at the beginning. There's lots of people in this room who know a thing or two about construction. It all depends on the foundation you build. And that's what pre-K is about. Reaching our children in a way that they can learn best, at the age they can learn most effectively, when they're developing most profoundly, helping them to get that strong start for the rest of their education. And by the way, leveling the playing field in the sense of every child having opportunity, not just some who are lucky enough to win a lottery, but every child getting full-day pre-K, so they have that strong foundation for the future. And the second part of the plan was to extend the learning day through after-school programs. Because I think another thing that started to become a consensus in our society is our kids need to learn more hours each day if they're going to be effective. The demands of the modern economy are too intense for our traditional learning system to accommodate them. We have to extend the school day, and we're doing that now through after school. Kids are going to get the tutoring, the homework help, the enrichment that they need to be so much more ready. We're going to graduate a lot more kids on time. We're going to graduate a lot more kids who are college ready. And then they'll be able to participate fully in the economy that everyone in this room is helping to build. Now look, I'm very clear about the fact when I was here before Abney 18 months ago, it was a smaller crowd. Alicia, you have gotten a much bigger crowd than I got. I want you to know that. And the idea may have seemed unlikely at the time, but the amazing thing is that on Monday, the world changed for the better. The vote was taken in Albany. We now have the resources to make these profound changes in our schools. And that work begins right now. I do always want to express my appreciation to the leaders in Albany, because they ultimately heard what the people of this city needed, and they made it happen. The Assembly has long been committed for years and years to early child education. I thank Speaker Silver. And the leaders of the Senate, and I particularly want to thank Senator Klein, stood up and amened what the Assembly had done. And the governor was with us, and the governor's talked about the crucial need for pre-K statewide. And I think all the strands have come together in a way that's going to change the school system of this city for the better and the economy of this city for the better for the long haul. And that work, as I mentioned, starts now. We literally, as we speak, with an extraordinary team of professionals, we are taking the space that's already been proposed to us. We're taking the hundreds and hundreds of teachers who have applied just in the last days, pre-K certified, early education certified teachers ready to go, excited to be a part of this program. And we're putting those pieces together so that in this September, the number of children in full-day pre-K will go from the current 20,000 to almost 50,000. That means a huge impact for the families of this city, and so many more kids who will be ready to be educated better thereafter. And I also say it will lift all boats. More and more prepared children coming into our school system after pre-K will make the whole school system work better, will make the investment that we put into our schools work better for all of us. That work is happening now with an extraordinary group of dedicated professionals. I keep telling them it's like the Marshall Plan. We're going to take everything we got, it's going to be led from City Hall, and we're going to make it work for this September. Because we didn't want a plan that would help people in small stages and over a long period of time. We wanted a plan that would help people right now, and that's what we've got. Let me finish with this. And then the good news is I get to come in, tie-list, make my remarks, and then go off stage immediately. Alicia takes the tough questions. This is my new model for governance. I like it. In fact, we're going to do all the press conferences at City Hall like this from now on, Alicia. Have like it's like a designated hitter, you know? I think there's so many people in this room, so many people I've known a long time who give back to this city in so many ways. And you constantly think about how to make this a better and stronger city. Think about now what our commitment to early childhood education, our commitment to after school will mean for the economic future of this city. Think about the kind of workforce we need in the years ahead, something Alicia thinks about all the time, and you heard in her remarks is a central focus of her work. Now think about the ways we're going to constantly improve our school system so that workforce will actually become a reality. And it's not just pre-K, it's not just after school. We're going to work to retain the highest quality teachers for the long run. We're going to work to bring parents more deeply into the process of educating their children. We're going to work to enhance CUNY so it can provide the kind of programs that will actually prepare our young people for the jobs available today, particularly in the tech sector. So we're going to move on a lot of different fronts to give you the kind of workforce you need so this city can remain strong, and in fact, we can keep building our economy far beyond its current reality. We also are going to make sure we have a strong social fabric in this city, a social fabric based on a mutual sense of hope and opportunity. And I can tell you that parents from all backgrounds are so gratified today to know their children will have more opportunity. They know, it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from, they know that greater educational opportunity equals greater economic opportunity. So we're going to have a city that's more united because it will be a commonality, it will be universal that everyone gets that opportunity for their child. And I dare say, as we're talking to people about building their businesses here, or relocating here, or expanding here, as we're talking to people about coming to live here, what's a more powerful selling point than a school system that's getting better all the time? A school system that's offering more guarantees for people. I've talked to so many parents, again, across the demographic spectrum, that are so excited by the notion of knowing, having a guarantee that in just a few years' time, every one of their children reaching pre-K age will be guaranteed full-day pre-K. Having a guarantee that a middle school child has access to a free, quality after-school program if they choose to take advantage of it. Those are the kind of things that make this great city even greater, even more attractive, an even better place to live and work and build a business. And that's what we aim to do. And on Monday, we took a great step forward for this city. There's a lot more to come. And with your support, with your friendship, with your partnership, we're going to get a lot done for the people of this city. I thank you for this chance to step in, and now I bring you the conservatively dressed Alicia Glenn to continue these proceedings. Thank you very much.